On June 28, 1914, the world was plunged into chaos that would shape the modern world, as well as begin an apocalyptic chain of events that would leave scars on the earth still felt to this day. Otto von Bismarck, the Chancellor of Germany, knew that such an event would happen, saying it would be caused by, quote, "some damned foolish thing in the Balkans," end quote. The events of 28th June happened in the Austro-Hungarian city of Sarajevo, right in the center of the Balkans. But this story doesn't begin on that day. It begins 36 years before, as Austria-Hungary fights a war against Bosnia and Herzegovina, where a major defeat is suffered by the Serbs against the Austro-Hungarians in the city of Sarajevo. To celebrate the victory, 36 years later, in 1914, the Austro-Hungarian army put on military exercises in and around the city, and the heir to the throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophia, would go through the city in a motorcade in their open-top car. Many Serbs took this as an insult, as they believed that Sarajevo should be at least part of a pan-Slavic state, if not Serbia itself. One group who believed it should be part of a pan-Slavic state was called Young Bosnia, and one young man among them was named Gavrilo Princip. The group of young men hatched a plan to assassinate Franz Ferdinand while he was in his motorcade, all arming themselves and joining the crowds of onlookers at various points along the route that had been released to the public in advance. Pretty poor decision. As the motorcade passed the first couple assassins without any attempt, as there were too many Serbs that they didn't want to injure in the crowd, or there wasn't a clear shot. Finally, one of the assassins runs out and throws a hand grenade at the Archduke's car, but it bounced off the door and exploded as the next car passed over it. The would-be assassin put a cyanide pill in his mouth and jumped into the nearby river, but unfortunately for him, the pill was old and defective, and only made him throw up, and the river was only about 6 inches deep, so he was quickly captured and questioned by police. The Archduke and his car sped off, and the injured were taken to the hospital. Gavrilo Princip and his fellow assassins had all their planning wasted. They scattered throughout the city. Princip stationed himself at a part of the route in a hope to get a shot at the Archduke as he left the city. Meanwhile, the Archduke and his wife headed back out towards the hospital to see the wounded, but no one informed the driver that they would be taking a different route than the pre-planned one until he turned down a road and the car stalled directly in front of Princip. He fired 2 shots, killing Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie. Count Franz von Harrach was on the running board of the car and saw it happen. He wrote down the events following the shots, saying, quote, "As the car quickly reversed, a thin stream of blood spurted from His Highness's mouth onto my right cheek. As I was pulling out my handkerchief to wipe the blood away from his mouth, the Duchess cried out for him, 'For God's sakes, what's happened to you?' At that, she slid off the seat and lay on the floor of the car with her face between his knees. I had no idea that she too was hit and thought she had simply fainted from fright. Then I heard His Imperial Highness say, 'Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Stay alive for the children.' At that, I seized the Archduke by the collar of his uniform to stop his head tripping forward, and asked him if he was in great pain. He answered me quite distinctly, 'It is nothing.' His face began to twist somewhat, but he went on repeating 6 or 7 times, ever more faintly as he gradually lost consciousness, 'It is nothing.' Then came a brief pause, followed by a convulsive rattle in his throat, caused by the loss of blood. This ceased on arrival at the governor's residence. The 2 unconscious bodies were carried into the building, where their death was soon established." End quote. The death of Franz Ferdinand was the tipping point in the complex web of alliances that connected all of Europe and led to the First World War, which I will be covering a lot in the future. Remember to like and subscribe. And don't forget to follow my Instagram. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.